Hey everybody, this is Robert from Black Belt Gaming. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to make another entry into my Advanced Dungeons & Dragons series. This one is a little bit different. This is about a different version of Dungeons & Dragons, but I wanted to explain how it kind of connected me in my journey to being a dungeon master. Back in the late 70s, one Christmas, the family received from Santa a boxed set for Dungeons and Dragons. This was the Holmes box set. I'm the one who opened it up. I thought it was a board game. The artwork looked really interesting. My mother was a Tolkien fan. She'd been reading The Hobbit to me and my sister during the summer vacation. But it was Christmas time now. We got this box set, and I opened it up expecting some pieces and dice and a board, and that's not what it was. It was there were dice in there, but it was books. And although there was some interesting artwork, there was a lot of reading to do. And at my age at that time, that was just too much for me. By the way, in the if you can see this on the video, the picture, that's my D12. I still have it. Brought it all the way over here to Japan with me. That's my last die from the Holmes box set. So I had this, but I didn't really know what it was. So you may have seen my earlier video, one of my very first videos on my YouTube channel, talking about Dungeons & Dragons. It was about my first game of D&D, and that was first edition, and how much of an amazing experience that was. So after I'd had the chance to play a couple of times, and I was enjoying it so much, I remembered that we had the game at home. And so I went back to my house and dug through the closets, and I found the Holmes box set, which was basically unused. Sure enough, it said Dungeons and Dragons on it. I opened it up and looked at the inside, and then some things started to seem a little more familiar. And but it was still a lot of reading to do, and I wasn't a big reader when I was young. And so I talked to my parents. I said, this is a fantastic game, probably the best game I've ever played. We actually have had this for a number of years. Why don't we try to play it? And I handed the box set to my father. And both my parents are very well educated, both teachers. My father took the box set and started to go through it, and he took us through character creation. So in my first AD&D game, I was given a character to play. It was a fighter magic user. It was an elven fighter magic user, and his ability scores were pretty good. As we sat down with this game and I was rolling 3d6 down the line, I was getting horrible scores. And I was really becoming disappointed because I could tell the numbers were so much lower than what my other character was. And I was wondering if that was going to be okay. Because I had a sense of, the higher scores gave you more of a bonus on your attack and damage and better armor class and all that. And so I was thinking, wow, this guy's going to be terrible. We then came to the point where we needed to decide what to play, kind of based on what our roles were. And I had qualified and was interested in playing a dwarf. And I wanted to make a dwarf fighter. And my father looked in the book and he said, well, there's a human fighter, or may have been called a fighting man, I can't remember. And then there was dwarf. So I was a little surprised that dwarf was its own class. The AD&D had separated class and race, and so I was a little confused. Not really too upset about it, but it just seemed a bit more limiting. But I said, all right, I'll be a dwarf. And my mother decided to be a magic user. And then we went on to rolling hit points. I knew hit points were really important. So I took, I can't remember, it may have been a D8, and rolled the dice, and I think I got a 4. It was a 3 or a 4. And I remember thinking, uh-oh. I mean, at least it wasn't a 1 or a 2, but I knew that a single hit from a dagger could do me in. So I was a little worried about that. We went through the equipment purchasing process, got myself, it may have been some chainmail armor and an axe, and my mother got some robes and a dagger. And anyway, we got ourselves outfitted, and were prepared to go on the adventure, whatever that was. So somewhere in that book, or somewhere in an adventure module that came in that set, I certainly don't think my father was making it up. He seemed to be reading it, because out of the two of them, my mother was by far the more well-read in fantasy literature. He said that there was some abandoned tower, like Wizard's Tower. It was rumored to be haunted, and strange lights could be seen emanating from it late at night. And there were rumors that there was great treasure still inside. But anyway, our adventure was to go and investigate and check it out, and maybe see what wonders we could find inside. So the two of us formed our little duo, our little adventuring party, and made our way to the tower. I was so excited, and I was so happy to be playing this with my parents, because I'd been having such a good time with my other buddies there in the neighborhood. And so we entered this this building, and my father said that 2 goblins jump out to block our passage, and they attack us. And I remember my mother said, "I'm going to draw my dagger and kill the goblin." And I remember thinking, it's not that easy. You got to go through this process of rolling the dice and hitting and doing damage. So I knew it wasn't just a, say it and it happens. So I was looking forward to going through the whole combat process and everything. So we were about to do that, and there was a pause. And my father flipped around a few pages, and we waited, and he flipped around some more, and we waited. And he flipped around some more, and we waited. And then he closed the book. This was the blue cover Holmes book. He closed it, and he said, "I don't know what I'm doing." And, I felt like, sure, we can figure this out, but he said, I'm not sure what to do. And it was crushing. It was so disappointing. I was so excited to play through this part of the game, and it just came to a halt. And we ended up putting the game away for the night. And I remembered just taking it from the hands of my father, who had kind of lost interest in it, or just was not comfortable running that kind of game or whatever. And I was looking through the pictures. I was looking at some of the pre-generated characters that came with the module. I think that was In Search of the Unknown. There were different characters in there, and I was fascinated by reading their statistics. And I remember some of the names. One of my favorites was this Leuven Lightfinger. I even named a thief character after him years later. I used some of the other names on there for NPCs. But although playing the game out of the box just didn't work for us at all, unfortunately. I wonder how many people had that experience. I'm curious to know. It was definitely an advantage for me to play with other people who had a feeling for, what to do and how to run the game. But, it was no question of intelligence or anything like that. My father has 2 master's degrees, a PhD. He was one in mathematics, college professor, administrator, college president, former pro football player. He was a beast. And so, very intelligent person. He maybe just wasn't into it and didn't have the patience to go through it there while we were sitting there waiting. I'm not sure. But it just didn't work out, and I decided to just continue playing with my friends. But I had a thought that day, and the thought was that I really like this game. I want to play it with people in the years to come. I didn't exactly think of it that way, but I wanted to play it more in the future. And I thought, well, maybe if it's not so easy to be a dungeon master just right out of the book, maybe I need to learn how to do that. And so that was the moment where I thought maybe I needed to learn how to be a dungeon master, because I really enjoyed the game so much, but it just seemed like that not everybody was interested or cut out to be a DM. And so that's really the event that started me on the path of seeking out and trying to learn from others how to be a DM and run a good game. So this is I guess a shorter video, I think. I'm not exactly sure how long this is running, but I just wanted to share with you my experience of playing Holmes. That was really the first RPG I ever owned, but I can't say it was the first RPG I ever played. And so after playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition for some time and coming back to the Holmes set, I found it interesting. I found it simple in comparison. There were so many other rules and tables and other things that were not in there. And I didn't really mind that. The only one that really bugged me was as I was kind of familiar with the game and I was reading through the Holmes book with different sections. I wasn't just reading it from cover to cover. I kept getting confused because I couldn't find the weapons table. I couldn't find a table listing the different weapons and what damage they dealt. And I thought, well, how much does a dagger do compared to a two-handed sword? And it just really bugged me. I couldn't find it in the book. And I thought, surely this is a question other people have. And I was just searching and searching. And I got to tell you, it was a long time later before I ever officially learned that everything was a D6. So, anyway, I have revisited the Holmes book from time to time. I've even run some games from it from time to time for fun, just because it was easy to carry. It didn't take much space, and my luggage when we went on a beach trip or something in the summer. And it just, everything was right there in the book, and I just needed the dice and some paper and a pencil. And so it did provide me with a lot of fun over the years, but I really only got so much use out of it. And I'm kind of envious of people who really got into D&D through that channel and really fully played and explored the Holmes D&D before moving on. For me, I came at it with First Edition and just found a lot lacking in Holmes that I was used to. It was not really that I so much preferred that more. It was just going back felt so much more restrictive. There were so many options that I was used to that weren't there. I wonder nowadays, and just speaking to you here at this moment, if maybe that's how people feel that have gotten into the game in later editions, like 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition, going back to an earlier edition, 1st edition, 2nd edition basic. I wonder if they feel that way. I wonder if they feel like, my gosh, so much is missing out of this edition. You can't do this and you can't be that, and there's no rule for this. And maybe that's how they feel. But first edition for me is still my favorite, and I am going to do another video in the near future about my experience becoming a dungeon master and how that evolved and how I developed my own style. And I'll probably do some other videos on some different editions of D&D and just sort of how it connects to my first edition play. So I guess I'll stop it there for today. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you got any comments or any memories you want to share from the Holmes editions, let me know. I'd love to read them. Take care, everybody. Catch you later.